Good morning, Alex and friends. I'm Grace. Today is Friday, November 7th, 2025, and you're listening to Alex's News. The high in Riverside today is 83.2 degrees, with a low dipping to 55.5 degrees, so enjoy the mild fall weather but keep a light jacket handy for evenings. Coming up, we'll break down the Trump administration's decision to challenge a court ruling on expanding full SNAP benefits to more families. We'll also look at the frontrunners vying to replace Nancy Pelosi in San Francisco's congressional district, along with other key developments from around the nation and world. All this and more on Alex's News. Stay tuned. Welcome back to our morning broadcast on this Friday, November 7th, 2025. We're kicking off today's top stories with a developing crisis that's leaving millions of Americans hungry for answers during the government shutdown. Joining me now to break it down is our Washington correspondent, Ethan. Good morning, Ethan. What's the latest on this appeal over SNAP benefits?
Good morning, Grace. It's a real stomach-turner, isn't it? The Trump-Vance administration has just filed an appeal against a federal judge's order to fully restore November Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program benefits, or SNAP, what folks commonly call food stamps. This comes as the shutdown hits its seventh day, putting 42 million low-income Americans in a tough spot, unable to get their full monthly groceries.
SNAP is crucial for so many families. For those who might not know, can you explain what this program does and why this ruling matters right now?
Absolutely, Grace. SNAP is the nation's biggest anti-hunger initiative, handing out electronic cards worth over $8 billion a month for buying food at grocery stores. It helps 1 in 8 Americans, from working parents to seniors and kids facing tough times. According to reporting from NPR News and the Associated Press, U.S. District Judge John J. McConnell Jr. in Rhode Island ruled yesterday, November 6th, that the U.S. Department of Agriculture must use emergency reserves to pay out full November benefits by today to avoid people going hungry amid the shutdown that started November 1st.
That sounds urgent. What sparked this shutdown, and how does it tie into the SNAP fight?
The shutdown stems from a partisan budget brawl over fiscal year 2026 funding. As OPB and NPR have reported, Senate Democrats won't pass a bill without restoring Affordable Care Act subsidies, while the administration pushes for more on immigration and border security. The White House is pointing fingers at Democrats for dragging this out, saying it's hurting not just SNAP, but farm aid, food safety checks, and rural projects too. FactCheck.org, cited in CBS News coverage, notes both sides share blame in this gridlock, reminiscent of the 35-day shutdown back in 2018 to 2019.
Judge McConnell's order seems pretty pointed. What exactly did he say, and why the appeal now?
He didn't mince words, Grace, calling out the USDA for ignoring the real harm to benefit recipients and accusing the administration of playing politics. In fact, he referenced President Trump's Truth Social post earlier this week saying SNAP wouldn't restart until the shutdown ends, which the White House later softened. Coverage from OPB and WHYY details how the judge ordered tapping into legally available funds like the SNAP Contingency Reserve, holding $4.65 to $6 billion through September 2026 to cover the full $8.5 to $9 billion monthly cost. If needed, draw from Section 32 funds under the 1935 Agricultural Adjustment Act, a permanent pot of about $23 billion from customs receipts, or even reprogram from child nutrition or the Commodity Credit Corporation's $30 billion borrowing power.
Those funding sources sound like legal lifelines. Are they solid, based on experts?
Yes, backed by Government Accountability Office precedents, like their 2019 decision B331094, which said the contingency fund could have covered early SNAP payouts during the last big shutdown without breaking the Anti-Deficiency Act, that law barring spending without approved funds. A 2020 GAO follow-up and a February 2025 opinion reinforce this, creating exceptions for preventing hunger as a public good. Office of Legal Counsel analyses in Politico Pro align with that, upholding workarounds from the 2013 shutdown too, per AgriPulse and FactCheck.org reporting.
Who brought this lawsuit, and what's the administration's counter?
A coalition of cities, nonprofits, and over 24 Democratic-led states like Rhode Island, California, New York, Pennsylvania, and Minnesota filed it, led by Democracy Forward. Their CEO, Skye Perryman, told NPR and OPB, "This is the administration toying with lives." The suits argue partial funding breaks the Food and Nutrition Act and harms millions, with a Center on Budget and Policy Priorities report estimating 5 million could get nothing under the original USDA plan. Newsweek and Common Dreams covered the multi-district push. In response, the administration first floated 50% coverage from a $5.25 billion pool, then bumped to 65% yesterday via tricky state formulas, as NPR and CBS News detailed. Vice President J.D. Vance called the ruling absurd on Fox News, insisting courts can't boss the president on resources. The Department of Justice appealed to the First Circuit right away, pausing the order with no stay or decision yet, per Courthouse News Service, The Guardian, and OPB updates.
This limbo must be hitting people hard. Any sense of the human toll?
It's devastating, Grace. In Delaware alone, 118,200 residents, or 1 in 7, rely on SNAP, and families like Janasia Coplings in Wilmington are skipping meals, waiting for her $530 benefit amid rising grocery costs, as WHYY chronicled yesterday. Local leaders are stepping up with food bank drives, calling it impossible choices between eating and rent. NPR News spotlighted Minnesota stores feeling the pinch, tying it to post-election shifts. Nationally, the Food Research and Action Center, quoted in the Washington Post and Common Dreams, warns of worse food insecurity, with their president saying the administration chose inaction despite options. Senate Appropriations Vice Chair Patty Murray labeled the appeal ugly and cruel in Trib Live and CBS News.
States stepping in? And what's next for resolution?
Yes, Delaware's Governor Matt Meyer declared an emergency for partial state-funded SNAP today, per WHYY, while California and Connecticut explore bridges via their government sites. The appeal challenges both November 6th and 1st orders, possibly heading to the Supreme Court. As OPB noted this morning, it exposes SNAP's vulnerability in these fights, with NPR and NPR urging donations since federal aid's cutoff. Perryman calls the ruling a victory but stresses compliance to end the hardship.
Thanks for that thorough rundown, Ethan. It's food for thought on how politics snaps at the safety net. We'll keep watching this as story 1 of 2 today. Up next. Good morning, everyone. In our second story today, we have a seismic shift in California politics. Former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi announced yesterday that she will not seek re-election in 2026, ending nearly 4 decades of service for San Francisco's 11th congressional district. This opens up a fierce battle among Democrats for her seat in this progressive stronghold. Joining me now to break it all down is our political reporter, Chloe. Chloe, take it away.
Thanks, Grace. Pelosi, at 85 years old, made the announcement on November 6th, as reported by ABC News in an Associated Press story by political writer Michael R. Blood. It's the end of an era for this trailblazing Democrat, who served as the first woman Speaker of the House from 2007 to 2011 and again from 2019 to 2023. She was a master tactician and powerhouse fundraiser, but younger party members had been pushing for fresh faces. Her current term wraps up in January 2027, and with Senator Dianne Feinstein's passing in 2023, it's clear California's veteran women leaders are stepping aside.
Chloe, San Francisco is such an iconic city, but this district sounds like a tough nut to crack politically. What makes it so competitive now, even though it's solidly blue?
Absolutely, Grace. The district covers almost all of San Francisco, a city of about 830,000. With landmarks like the Golden Gate Bridge symbolizing its liberal vibe. Republicans make up just 7% of voters, per the Associated Press reports syndicated on ABC News and Click on Detroit. But Pelosi's exit has sparked a wide-open brawl among Democrats, especially with the 2026 midterms looming, where Republicans hold a slim 219 to 213 House majority, plus 3 vacancies. No ballot for President Trump, but his shadow hangs large, with candidates already slinging anti-Trump barbs and warnings about authoritarianism, according to those AP stories.
Local issues must be front and center in a place like San Francisco. What are voters most fired up about, and how does the housing crunch play in?
Spot on, Grace. Affordability is the top worry, with median home prices around $1.4 million as of this November, driven by tech and AI influx, global money, and a housing shortage. Democratic consultant Eric J. told the Associated Press that folks are asking, quote, who is going to get to stay, end quote, amid fears of displacement and gentrification. California State University San Francisco political scientist Jason McDaniel predicts in the AP coverage that density will be the #1 issue, clashing dueling visions building taller near-transit hubs versus shielding neighborhoods from upheaval. The Imperial Valley Press adds layers like over 8,000 homeless people, open fentanyl use, a 20% jump in property crime, vacant shops, and post-COVID tourism dips, even as innovators like Salesforce and OpenAI thrive there.
With all that, who's jumping into this free-for-all primary? Give us the rundown on the frontrunners.
The March 2026 primary under California's top 2 system, where the top 2 vote-getters advance to November regardless of party, could see up to a dozen Democrats. No real GOP threat in this safe seat. Pelosi won by over 25 points in 2024, but frustrations might tighten it, per UC Berkeley professor Sean Trende in the Imperial Valley Press. Early poll from the San Francisco Chronicle and SF Standard shows State Senator Scott Wiener leading at 61% favorability. Wiener, openly gay and a pragmatic progressive since 2016, announced in October 2025. He'd be San Francisco's first LGBTQ+ congressmember. His campaign praises Pelosi as the, quote, greatest speaker in United States history, end quote, and pushes courage against Trump, per ABC News. On housing, he's behind bills like Senate Bill 9 and 10, streamlining zoning for denser apartments and speeding thousands of affordable units, though neighborhood groups push back. He has nearly $870,000 cash on hand from late September via FEC data in the Los Angeles Times and GV Wire.
And the more insurgent voices? San Francisco loves its progressives.
Enter Saikat Chakrabarty, a 38-year-old former Stripe engineer, that's the payments giant that made him rich, and co-founder of Justice Democrats. He announced February 5, 2025. Initially eyeing Pelosi's seat directly. Like New York City Mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani, who just upset the field on November 4th with 50.4%, Chakrabarty's backed by Sanders and Ocasio-Cortez, whom he advised. His pitch, quote, we can fix this, end quote, tackling that 1.4 million home price with Medicare for All, Green New Deal, which he helped draft, and banning congressional stock trading. He's self-funded over $500,000, shunning corporate PACs, appealing to young lefties, per Jay in the AP. As an Indian American, he'd be the district's first of Asian descent.
Family ties are intriguing here, too. What about Christine Pelosi?
Nancy's daughter, an attorney and party activist, has filed preliminary papers and is rumored as the heir apparent, per the SF Chronicle and India Times. She dodged comments yesterday but could lean on her mom's network for continuity in Democratic organizing, though progressives might eye her establishment links warily.
Sounds like a diverse field. Who's else in the mix, especially on the progressive and moderate sides?
Supervisor Connie Chan, born in Hong Kong, is seriously considering. With strong union and Asian American support, that's over 30% of the city, including Chinese communities. Per the SF Standard and ABC News AP, she'd push 100% affordable density on corridors like Geary Boulevard, but nixed projects like a 495-unit BART-adjacent complex for lacking family units. She's for tenant protections and the small sites program converting spots to permanent affordable housing, clashing with YIMBY crowd. Elected first Asian American rep. Then David Campos, progressive ex-supervisor turned judge and California Democratic Party vice chair, jumped in right after the news via the Imperial Valley Press. He fights for Latinos, 15% of the district, and labor, with a record-blocking market rate builds to curb displacement, like a 2015 mission moratorium. Now softer, he backs zero-displacement affordable conversions. Moderate Nancy Tung, a tech exec and attorney, is speculated, focusing mental health and homelessness fixes, backed by business, per the Imperial Valley Press. Others, like supervisors Asha Safai, Susie Lofton, Raj Salwan, and real estate guy Bilal Sakat, could crowd it. Mayor London Breed calls it a power vacuum risking chaos if progressives win, echoing the 2024 DIA recall. Representative R.O. Khanna wants unity behind the winner. Filing kicks off with signatures in lieu in about 6 weeks on December 19, 2025 through February 4, 2026, then declarations February 9th to March 6th. General election November 3, 2026, about a year out. Early FEC shows 6 Dems, 2 Republicans, but full fundraising drops January 31, 2026. As The Guardian, NPR, and Washington Post note, it's San Francisco's soul search tech invented the future, now battling inequality. Strategist Jim Wunderman calls it a free-for-all, with younger, diverse voters and AI ethics in play. Pelosi's legacy bridges to this generational clash.
What a powerhouse race, Chloe. Like trading one speaker for a chorus of voices. Thanks so much for that deep dive. Here are some other headlines. The U.S. Supreme Court has stamped a passport to controversy, allowing the Trump administration to enforce a policy requiring passport sex markers to reflect sex at birth, halting a lower court's block while litigation continues. In a brief, unsigned order from the conservative majority, the court said listing sex at birth no more offends equal protection than listing country of birth. Dissenting Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson warned the court has, once again, paved the way for the immediate infliction of injury. The ACLU's lawsuit, on behalf of 7 individuals, moves ahead in lower courts, as transgender and non-binary Americans face documents that may not match their identities, raising fears of harassment and harm. In Belém at COP30, Brazil's Lula da Silva unveiled a forest finance plan that aims to turn green into evergreen. The Tropical Forests Forever facility landed more than $5.5 billion in pledges, $3 billion from Norway, $1 billion from Indonesia, $500 million from France, plus Brazil's own $1 billion. The model plants an investment seed, $25 billion in public funds intended to leverage $125 billion with private capital, paying over 70 developing nations per hectare of protected forest. 20% of returns must flow directly to indigenous peoples and local communities, putting roots where the stewardship grows and making conservation pay so deforestation doesn't. Back in Washington, a waistline to bottom line play, the Trump administration says it struck a deal with Eli Lilly and Novo Nordisk to trim the price tag of GLP-1 obesity drugs and expand coverage. Injectables like Wegovy and Zepbound could be available to some Medicare patients for $245 a month with a $50 copay, a deep cut from sticker prices north of $1, $300. Pending FDA approval, once-daily oral versions would launch at $149 for a starting dose. It's a major shift from Medicare's historic bar on weight loss-only drugs, folded into a most favored nations push to peg U.S. prices closer to global levels. State Medicaid programs could opt in, and a new TrumpRx.gov site is slated to sell to the uninsured for about $350 a month, with Medicare access projected by mid-2026. Call it a dose of market medicine if promises aren't diluted. In Sudan, a war fed from abroad continues to starve civilians of hope. Reports say the UAE has supplied the RSF with weapons, allegations it denies, while Egypt, Iran, and Russia bolster the SAF, turning the conflict into a proxy powder keg. After the RSF seized El Fasher, rights groups documented mass killings, door-to-door executions, and sexual violence, often targeting specific ethnicities. With over 12 million displaced and acute hunger widening, advocates urge a stop to the arms flow and accountability. The International Criminal Court says it is gathering evidence from El Fasher, justice trying to take aim as the weapons keep firing. And in Southeast Asia, the weather is riding its own rough draft. Typhoon Kalmegi hit central Vietnam, killing at least 5 and injuring 7, damaging roughly 2,800 homes, and knocking out power to about 1.3 million before weakening toward Cambodia. The storm had already devastated the Philippines, where the death toll stands at least at 188. Now, severe tropical storm Phung Wong, Uwan, once inside the Philippine area of responsibility, could rapidly intensify into a super typhoon and is projected to make landfall over northern or central Luzon by Monday. Millions are on alert, bracing for a 1-2 punch from nature's roughhousing. That's all we have for now. Today's episode was made by Alexander King with GPT-5, Gemini Pro 2.5, Gemini Flash 2.5, and Google Cloud Text-to-Speech. I hope you have a great day. I'll see you tomorrow, Alex.